All right, welcome to the first Sounds Good Stuff video of 2023, and we're going to be making egg mayonnaise. Oh yes. Okay, so let's get this camera strapped to my head, and then I can check in the phone here. Does everything look right? You see my hands? This is what we're going to be watching, the back of my hands, doing things, not just the back of my hands solely, specifically making egg mayonnaise. Looks correct. Okay, I think we're calibrated. All right, so the reason we're doing egg mayonnaise, the first video, is because I wanted to be showing things that you can make from home when you're working from home, and just they're going to last you for the rest of the week. So we've been smart this morning, as in I've been smart. I don't know why I'm referring to myself in the collective plural, very royal. And I boiled 6 eggs this morning, which I quite like to do just on a Monday morning. Instead of just boil your breakfast eggs, just boil all of the eggs. And then you're going to have them for the rest of the week, and we can talk about things you can do with those. And then also make a mayonnaise at the beginning of the week. Imagine that. You've got boiled eggs in the fridge. You've got mayonnaise in the fridge, and it's Monday. You're absolutely winning life. And I know what you're thinking, but making mayonnaise on a Monday, what an absolute mission. Well, it's not going to be a mission because we're going to be using an immersion blender. Oh, yes. And you're going to be quite amazed at what this manages to do in terms of making mayonnaise. It's a bit of a trick here. So to make our mayonnaise, let's get straight into it. We're going to break a whole egg into, let's call this a sort of not so wide, tall, vaguely cylindrical vessel. How about that? That's the most succinct description I can give for this particular kind of vessel. And the reason it needs to be about this shape is because it's going to be quite a snug fit for when our blender goes in. We don't want there to be too much of a gap between the width of this and that. So this is the best one that I had for this particular example. Oh, I haven't even opened my mustard. And to make mayonnaise, we need egg, mustard. And the reason we have mustard is because it will add, firstly, a really nice flavor. And secondly, it helps with the emulsion and thickening the mayonnaise. This is Coleman's English mustard. Typically, you'd use Dijon, but this is original English mustard, and I'm an Englishman in England, so why would I grab anything from across the channel? Plus, you know, call it patriotism or not, I do just love Coleman's. And how long have they been going? I reckon they're going to be more than 100 years old. 1814. And it's 2023, over 200 years. Did you know over 95% of companies don't last over 100 years? You know, even the big giants of their days, like, will Amazon be here in 2100? No. Do you think Coleman's will? Of course they will, because they make the best mustard in England, probably even the world. Anyway, so there's a good tablespoon of mustard in here, which is going to help with making an emulsion and also with delicious Coleman's traditional English flavor. To that, we're going to add about a tablespoon of vinegar. You could use lemon for a mayonnaise, which I would recommend if I was making something like mayonnaise for having with fish, maybe even potatoes on some occasions, something where you want that sort of fresh, bright injection of acid into your mayonnaise. But for something as traditional and sacred as egg mayonnaise on toast, as it is for again, an Englishman in England, let's keep it tradition. Use some apple cider vinegar and get something a bit more of a kind of vinaigrette flavor, which I quite like, paired with eggs. To this, we are going to add a big pinch of salt. I'm actually going to get a teaspoon out for this because it should be, you know, I don't know, where are my teaspoons? I'm just having to find all of these things. I think these are for giving Calpol to babies. But it's nice to upcycle, isn't it? New purpose, you know. Once you made a baby sick and now, or no, well from sick, and now you shall make an egg mayonnaise all salty and savory. Okay. Right, so we've got salt, egg, mustard. Let's get that mustard right down in there, because we want, as you'll see in a moment, we need all of this to be at the bottom. And this is actually a very quick process. It's probably taking a couple of minutes right now, but that's because I'm really blabbing on about Coleman's mustard and Calpol's giving Calpol to baby. So this, if we ignore that, we would be getting along a lot quicker. So let's move on that note. on top of our egg and vinegar and mustard, we're going to add about 100 mils of, this is British rapeseed oil. You could use sunflower oil. You want to use any kind of vaguely neutral flavored oil. You can even use extra virgin olive oil, but it gives it a very distinctive flavor and it can be also a little bit bitter. So what's that? We're almost at about 100 mils. So I prefer to use something like rapeseed oil, which does taste a little bit cabbagey because, and we're going to also add a little olive oil for flavor. But yeah, rapeseed oil is a brassica, which is the same family as cabbage and broccoli and Brussels sprouts and all of that. And so people say it's a neutral oil, but I think they're lying to you. So listen to Sam's good stuff. This does taste a bit cabbagey, but I like cabbage. Maybe you like cabbage. And a slight tinge of brassica in our mayonnaise is going to be ruddy lovely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the science of mayonnaise and why this is going to work. So if I now just try to mix this all with a whisk, it wouldn't work, because what mayonnaise is it's an emulsion between water and hydrophobic oil molecules. So oil molecules are repelled by water. And what happens is if you try and bring in oil drop by drop into your egg and vinegar and mustard, it will hide between all of the water molecules within that. And then those molecules will be kind of stuck between the water molecules, and it will make the liquid much less viscous. It will be things can't move quite as easily. And so that's why you end up with this thick mayonnaise. But if you just try and mix all of the oil in at once, it will kind of overwhelm the water molecules. Instead of like those little molecules of oil getting lost between the water molecules or trapped between them, it will all just come out and sit on the surface, and you'll just have a mixture. So you need to bring it in drop by drop. And the way you do this with the immersion blender is that, hopefully you can see this, is that you can see at the bottom, it's kind of separate right now. So we've got the oil at the top and we've got the egg and everything at the bottom. And when we put the immersion blender in, it's going to start zipping up the bottom. And then as we pull it up, it's going to kind of drop by drop, or quite quickly even, because the immersion blender is so fast with its velocity of spin, that it will pull in the rest of the oil and kind of do the equivalent of if you're whisking and you're pouring the oil in, slowly drawing that oil into the emulsion and thickening it. All right, there's one more thing. Let's add a clove of garlic as well, because nobody ever complained about a clove of garlic being added to their food, really, did they? Unless it was a chocolate cake or something, but even then. Also, the garlic is going to help with the emulsion too, because garlic, mustard, these things will kind of act as thickening agents. And we'll see how thick this gets at the end, but we'll talk afterwards about if your mayonnaise is too thick or if it's too thin, what you can do to sort that out. Okay, right, let's move on to the main event. Immersion blender, here we go. Highest setting, vroom, vroom, vroom. Yeah, that's a bit lame, sorry about that. Get a bit carried away, spending all these hours in the kitchen, losing my mind really, talking to myself. So in this we'll go, we're going to put it right into the bottom. And then as you can see, it's right now not in contact with any of the oil, the immersion blender. It's just jammed into where the egg is. And we're going to start zipping that up. And then as we start to see an emulsion forming, you'll start to see it bubbling around the sides. We're then going to pull the blender up and it's going to pull in the oil. All right, let's go with that. See, there we go. We're starting to see some emulsion. And then I can slowly start bringing the rest in and up and up and up. And, oh, Bob's your uncle. I'll show you. We can add a little bit more oil to top. I'm going to go olive oil at this point, because I feel like it could do with a little bit of slightly nicer flavour, which is olive oil. But as I said, it can be a bit bitter if it's all olive oil. So let's just do the rest here. And more oil equals thicker emulsion, because there's more oil particles clogging up that water being stuck inside there. So here we go. Back down to the beginning. Pulling up.
can see, well, you probably, I don't know if you can see, but I can definitely feel, and to me it looks like I can see, but I don't know if that's just my feeling. It's definitely thickened up quite substantially with more oil being added in. Mayonnaise will also get a bit thicker when you leave them and put them in the fridge. So, you know, bear that in mind when going for your optimal thickness. And a mayonnaise will also last for quite some time in the fridge, you know, like a couple of weeks, which is pretty cool. So you bang this out in a couple of minutes on a Monday, boil a whole load of eggs, and not only do you have egg mayonnaise all week, you've got lots of things that you can do with eggs and mayonnaise beyond making egg mayonnaise. Okay, there you go. Now, that thickness seems pretty good to me. And let's give it a little taste. Really good. That addition of olive oil has actually been quite lovely. I'm still loving the tint of cabbage. We can't get enough of a tint of cabbage here. Okay, the rest of egg mayonnaise is pretty simple, and unsurprisingly, just involves some eggs. So here we go. I've already boiled these earlier. Hold on one sec. And we're just going to peel them. And I would say with peeling eggs that patience is your best friend, you know. Sometimes it doesn't all come off at once like this, but just keep being gentle. Don't force the issue. And also some things, if you're trying to have like a lovely hard-boiled egg in its entire form, it's really important that, well, quite important that you don't chip into the flesh. Does an egg have flesh? I'm going to go with flesh. The flesh of the egg as you're peeling, but something like egg mayonnaise where you're going to be chopping up, I mean, you could hack away at this a bit because it wouldn't matter because it's going to get all chopped up in the mayonnaise anyway. That said, sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. I learned that in a film with Mark Wahlberg. What was it called? Sniper or something. Moving fast, moving slow is moving fast, something like that. I can't remember the exact quote. It was more dramatic than that. It's not a good film. There's one egg. I think for me, for my lunch today, can have 2 eggs. We could even go for 3, but that's just wild. And you probably get slightly constipated. You'd eat so many eggs that you'd turn into an egg, a constipated egg, and you'd have to go back to work and you'd be on Zoom explaining to everyone why you're now an egg with constipation, and people probably, they wouldn't really know what to think of it. They wouldn't accept it. You'd probably get fired, is the truth. And yeah, I wouldn't really want to be responsible for that. Sam's good stuff. It's not Sam's get you fired stuff, is what you're watching today. All right, look at that one. Just came off so easy. Isn't that a joyous experience when the egg peels? And it's because I went slow to go fast. Thank you, Mark Wahlberg from Sniper or whatever the hell that film is called. Okay, just going to use any old knife because this is not that important about how you chop these bad boys. And I'm going to chop into relatively kind of nice sized pieces, but for you, it's your egg mayonnaise. Search your heart. How does it look like to you when you envision it on the plate? Do some deep soul searching. Is it chopped up into tiny pieces? Is it just even a whole half egg, a whole egg just rolling around, lolloping in mayonnaise? You look inside yourself and see what visions rise from the deep. Okay, so excuse my hands here. No one's watching. Okay, wait, all of you are watching, but no one else saw that, just me and you. Okay. We don't need to put too much salt or pepper on the eggs because there's quite a bit in the mayonnaise, but I'll just give another pinch for good measure. If I had some in the fridge right now, I would definitely recommend putting in a bit of rocket or watercress or a kind of peppery green to, 1, add a little crunch, and 2, also for contrasting flavor, because we're going to be quite fatty here, though with eggs and mayonnaise, though there is a bit, of course, of vinegar in the mayonnaise that the acid is going to help with that. And let's just add 1 blob and a half for now and just see where that gets us. And mix it all in. And you might notice there's already, just going to get another plate. for mounting our artistic installation on. You might have noticed I've already got some pre-buttered toast, which will be sort of tepid by now. But many people actually prefer cold toast to hot toast. Did you know that? In fact, you know, maybe you are someone who prefers cold toast or hot toast, and you're just quite happy that that's been brought to life. You're not being ignored anymore as a group of people with wants and needs and desires who's just getting neglected by society. We've always been bought hot toast. Okay, I'm going to put a bit more pepper in there because it just kind of it just looks like it wants it, doesn't it? It's like all that yellow. It wants to contrast like against black. That's nature talking for you. Bees and wasps. These are the sort of basic colours that as humans we are surely drawn towards. Okay, that's it. That is egg mayonnaise. And we're going to do an open top sandwich because I can't be bothered to do anything else. And I do like open top, except one time I was at a restaurant and they said a fish finger sandwich on the menu at the pub was open top. And I really didn't want that. And I said, can you make it a sandwich? And they said, no, it's open top. And I said, well, what about if you put a piece of bread on top of it? And they were like, yeah, I guess we can do that, actually. And then they went and did it. So always negotiate in restaurants and dining institutions. You never know what you can get away with. Right, can we make this a little bit prettier? Because this is going to have some sort of thumbnail attached to it. And I mean, it is just egg mayonnaise altogether. We just wanted humble starts. And the next video this week, I'm going to show you another thing you can do with eggs and mayonnaise. So you make this week or now, and then come around for the next video when you still got it all in the fridge, the cooked eggs and the cooked mayonnaise. You will be able to make the next thing, which sounds very exciting, doesn't it? One last thing. I've got a single anchovy, decorative little piece. Oh, there we are. Just to crown off our egg mayonnaise. I mean, some people love anchovies, some people hate them, so this is probably turning you on and off in equal measure. Okay, that's it. And I don't know how long this has taken, but again, most of it was me blabbing. I'm sure you could do this at home in just a few minutes, and then you'll have this for the rest of the week. And so I'm going to tuck in now. Thank you very much for watching the first Sounds Good Stuff video 2023. Look forward to seeing you in the next installment, where we see how far we can take eggs and mayonnaise.